Sports Network. Today, Bruce, Peter, and I are going to explain to you league translations. Now, league translations began back in around 2004 when Gabriel Desjardins calculated the translation factors for all the different leagues to the NHL. Now, how he did that was actually quite simple. He calculated all the points a player scored per game in a different league, like the Continental Hockey League or the Swedish Elite League or the AHL more commonly, and then looked at how many points per game those players scored in the NHL, and that created a translation factor. For example, the translation factor for the AHL has been established at 0.45. Now that he's calculated that for us, it's a very simple matter of figuring out how many points a player is likely to score in the NHL. You take a look at their AHL scoring, multiply by 0.45, and that's a good estimate as to what they're going to score in the NHL. Now, it's very important to only calculate the translation factor based on players going to the NHL, because you get a very different number if you include players that left the NHL, because by definition, the players that left the NHL probably didn't have very strong seasons. So it's very important to only calculate the translation factor in one direction, and then to only use that translation factor in the correct direction. Now, in Hockey Prospectus 2010-11, in that edition of the book, we took a closer look at translation factors, and we split it up based on goals and assists. So we did the same thing as Gabriel Desjardins, but calculated based on goals and assists. So you had separate factors, because, for example, in the case of the KHL players retain a lot of their assists, but not as many of their goals. We also took a look at the role of the player. For instance, really high scoring players obviously have a hard time keeping all that scoring in the more competitive NHL, whereas low scoring players tend to play that same low scoring role in the NHL and therefore keep more of their scoring. Another thing we looked at was age, which of course is older players generally, the translation factor is a little bit different for older players than for younger players.
Yes. Another aspect, I think, of translations would be you can use them from different leagues too. I did some work where the Continental Hockey League was used as the standard to try and get an idea of some of these other leagues that players go to that don't necessarily go directly to the NHL. So you can kind of work your way through those leagues as a translation, just kind of as a guide, because generally speaking, a player that might be from one of those lower end professional leagues probably isn't going to go straight to the NHL either. So you can do different ones. I think going to the American Hockey League is a popular one from junior or from college. Those are you can get a bit of a different expectation for a player at that point who might be 2 years away from the NHL at that point, rather than one that is ready for the NHL. I think you touched on that. The assists and goals can sometimes be different. A lot of that is probably due to the scoring in various leagues. I think they're a little more stringent in the Continental League and awarding assists than in the National League. They probably give out more secondary assists. I think that's been noted before too. So yeah, so there's plenty of factors. Some leagues are just have less scoring in general than others too, and so you can do a kind of an adjustment based on the expected goals per game and how much offense they were involved in their league, and how that might be adjusted in a more offensive league. If the NHL, say, is more offensive than the Swedish league or what have you. So yeah, there are little adjustments you can make for that based on age, based on the scoring of a league, and based on how they score assists in various leagues. Yeah, and I think there's preliminary work being done on shot translations, and that will be a very good source in the future. Leagues that actually record shot data. Those are the ones we're going to probably look at in the future. The American Hockey League does. I think the Quebec League does a very good job of that. And Continental, Swedish, Finnish League, all those professional leagues, they give us more data to work with. And I think that's kind of in the future. It'll take away some of that luck, that shooting luck that can vary from year to year.
Absolutely, but you can never completely eliminate the luck.
No.
So always remember that when you're translating someone's stats to the NHL, if they say he's good for, say, 40 points, just remember an NHL player who's expected to score 40 points could also score 20 or 60 or anywhere in between. And the same thing can happen when you translate statistics from a different league to the NHL. Those 40 points could be anywhere between 20 and 60, just like an NHL player.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty much all there is to know about NHL translation factors. If you have any more questions on that, you can contact me, Vollman at hockeyabstract.com. Thanks for watching Sabermetrics Network.